I'm trying to optimize for maximum success here. For us to succeed, we actually have to win. There's really like two cohorts of crypto founders, but one cohort is financial engineering schemers, which means you can launch a token without any community, without any success, but you can engineer its success on the top 100.
How much of crypto is that today?
35 to 50% of the top 100 coins are built like this.
Luca Netz, CEO of Pudgy Penguins, turning a cute NFT brand into a Web3 powerhouse.
From viral toys to a 1.5 billion Pengu airdrop, he's redefining how communities engage with crypto and culture.
Why did you decide to launch a meme coin?
Pudgy Penguins is a licensing powerhouse, and our job is to bring as many people via that licensing vehicle into crypto and into our ecosystem. And ultimately, I made a promise to them, and it's my job to bring you guys success.
Every coin is a meme coin.
Yeah.
What's the plan for the Pengu coin to compete with millions of other coins out there?
I think the first place is exchange listings. Sure, there's 100 million tokens, but there's only 50 or 60 that are available in all of these venues. I think creates a degree of separation, because our thing at Pudgy is we're really great at making viral moments and creating that virality around that penguin.
What if ETH is cooked?
I'll give you some good alpha for the ETH community. The ETH Foundation reached out to somebody that I knew, and he asked him, he said, how can we support you better? This is big news, because ETH Foundation reaching out to new builders and saying, how can we support you better, is a complete 360 shift of the tide.
There's Igloo, there's Pudgy Penguins, there's Abstract. What's the link between Abstract and Pudgy Penguins, if there is any?
I think
69% of the people who watch this podcast have not subscribed. If you enjoy this show, if it provides value to you in one way, shape, or form, can I please ask you a little favor? Can you click that subscribe button, give this video a like, and leave a comment down below? It helps this show more than you can imagine. My goal is to bring the absolute biggest and brightest people on this channel, and the best way to get there is to have all of us rally together and build the When Shift Happens family. Thank you. This conversation is supported by Jupiter, the most used decentralized trading platform on Solana and the largest DAO in the world. KAST card, my go-to card to spend my stablecoins directly with my Apple Pay to buy anything, food, coffee, or plane tickets without having to use a bank ever again. Bitwise Asset Management, the crypto specialist asset manager with more than $10 billion in client assets and more than 30 crypto solutions across ETFs, index funds, alpha strategies, staking, and more. 3. A scalable layer 1 blockchain that's fast, secure, and affordable, built by previous Facebook developers, and that delivers the benefits of Web3 with the ease of Web 2. To support this show, please check the sponsors links in the description down below.
I was doing bad there for a sec.
Bed?
I was doing bad. What's this? Solana Visa?
Solana card.
I want this. Where'd you get this?
It's a KAST card. It's one of the sponsors of the podcast.
Oh, you want to send me a link to that?
Yeah, absolutely. You spend your stable coins.
Oh, nice.
Just boom, 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 boom. It's very addictive, actually. And this is the golden card. It's actually actual gold.
Yeah, it felt. That's why I held
I'll send you the link. So it's
link.
absolutely. I'll do that afterwards. That. How are you doing? You said not that well before.
Well, I was not doing that well like 4 months ago. I'm doing better now.
Tell me more about that.
Trump, Melania, SPY down 25%, tariff wars, nonsense, baby, years of hard work, max capitulation mode. But we're doing good now.
How do you detach your execution capabilities and emotions from the crazy market swings, especially when there is brutal drawdowns like we had in February?
Yeah, super, super great question. I think for me, some of the best pieces of content over the last 6 months has been, there's a couple pieces from Bill Ackman and Jeff Bezos. Just like, dude, being down 90% is not necessarily indicative of your performance. And I knew for what we were doing that it wasn't. But sometimes just like the tides are against you. And sometimes the tide just needs to wash itself out. And the best entrepreneurs in the world have been down 90%. So I was taking it. I lost a lot of confidence, it felt like, for like a month's time, because we were trying to do things and we thought we could go against the tide of the macro. And we learned the hard way. And sometimes just, some of my favorite stocks today, like Robinhood, down 85%, just like people that I have so much respect for that, look, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to have confidence, you have to have faith in what you're building, and price can't sway you in any which direction. off of that conviction. And though it can be tough, the hard part is when like people you respect are like messaging you, being like, what are you going to do? What are you doing? As if, people that had watched us for years, who bet on us, who knew what we were capable of and knew the team and the organization and that we built and the IP that we built, messaging me. Like that's really, I met with a guy, we were laughing about it. That's the hard part. It's like, what do you mean, what am I doing? You see the stock market? It's down 6% in a day. What do you want me to do? You want me to go against that tide? Like, am I supposed to functionally do something? But it's interesting because the NFT stuff, I used to be able to make calls. Like with the NFTs, get to a certain price, I make a call, I talk to some people, figure it out. It's less liquid, right?
Yeah.
When you've got a thing that's $3-4 billion, there's no call that you can make. There's nobody, because the interesting part about Pengu is we actually gave, like, I keep harping on the size of the airdrop because it's never been done at that big. A lot of people gave me a lot of shit for it, the core holders, but I told them, I was like, dude, no one wants to buy a coin that's just penguins dumping on, right? Like the only way everyone was going to buy this was as if like everyone was in on it. I think that was one of the problems with Ape at the time when I remember looking back at it. And, very few tokens, if you understand crypto, if you're one of those sophisticated investors, like very few tokens have, even that look 100% unlocked, have a true liquid float the way that Pengu does. Even these top meme coins, they have like early bundlers and early people that are holding big positions. Very few coins in crypto have a true liquid float the way that Pengu does. And that's a great thing in terms of figuring out its true price, but it's also a bad thing in the sense when like the market capitulates, that's a real float with real tokens in real people's hands. A little bit of a monologue, but I thought it was, good.
No, but think about, I mean, there's many examples that come to my mind, but one is Sailor in 2001, 2002. I think MicroStrategy down like 99%.
Yeah.
And stayed down for 10, 15 years, right?
Yeah.
Despite having an amazing business, like a cash cow.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, now he's doing amazingly well, but had to change a lot of things. But like, yeah, I think if you look at Amazon, right?
Yep.
I think it happened 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
And you can do anything. And in crypto, it doesn't take 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months to go down 90%. It takes 1 month.
Yeah.
So it kind of I would say double-edged sword. Like on one side, it's fucking brutal, but at least the pain is done, right?
Yeah.
Faster. But on the other hand, it's tough. It's very tough. How do you get back on your feet after a crash like that?
I think for us, it's just like it was kind of like us buying Pudgy for $2.5 million, and then like FTX blew up and Coinbase and all of that, like all the exchanges blew up. It's kind of like you have no other choice, like a lot of people, my personal incentive on Pengu is on a 1-year cliff, 3-year vest, right? Like all that I've been working for is tied to the success of that. It's tied to other things, but like in the immediate short term, it's tied to that. And I think for us, it was just like, you got to figure it out. And we just started figuring things out. And then obviously the market gave a little bit of relief and that felt good. And, of the top 5 alts that bounced, right? Like we were in the top 5 best performing from the bottom to the recent high. And that made me feel good because I think the worry there for a moment was like, is this thing cooked? Was this the moment? Was this the opportunity? And are we now going to do another couple years of a bear market? And it feels like we've been building in a bear market this whole time. And was that like, was that the opportunity? I don't know what we were thinking, but I felt confidence when it started to give some relief, and that, when people were deciding to buy new, coins on the dip, we were one of their top choices.
Dear When Shift Happens family, the following message is probably the single most important thing you should take away from today's podcast. If you're serious about your crypto investing journey, please take some time to learn how to self-custody your assets to make sure that nobody can take your coins away, ever. If you don't learn how to be your own bank, it is very likely that one day you will lose all your hard-earned crypto. The safest way to hold your crypto is in a cold storage that we also call hardware wallets. Hardware wallets are not complicated and they give you peace of mind. I personally use a hardware wallet called Trezor. It is open source, very easy to use, and the first hardware wallet created ever. As we like to say it in crypto, not your keys, not your coin. You can order your Trezor wallet with a 10% discount by following the link in the description down below and by using the promo code WSH10. And now back to the episode.
You run an NFT project, an IP brand. You're launching a layer 2.
Yep.
Why did you decide to launch a meme coin in late 2024?
Because I was just seeing all these. There's a couple things. It was like, meme coins were taking intangible IPs and kind of making them tangible and yielding insane monster valuations. And there's a new business model at Pudgy that we're pioneering, which wasn't evident to me at the time, but this was kind of the early inklings of this mindset, which is Pudgy Penguins is a licensing powerhouse, right? Like that is our job. And our job is to bring as many people via that licensing vehicle into crypto and into our ecosystem. You know, when you're seeing, you know, just being frank, like bullshit IPs and bullshit memes hitting $1 billion, and you have what statistically is the most highly impressioned, most highly beloved and loved crypto native character, right? It at that point superseded an NFT. And then so you saw, well, like, this is a huge opportunity to bring value to our community. And ultimately I made a promise to them early on, and that promise will remain true as long as I'm at the helm, which is like, it's my job to bring you guys success. And there's levers that I have the ability to pull at certain moments that can go and bring them huge, you know, create that wealth transfer from, you know, our hard work into the community's hands. And it also felt like probably the most important one was just like how much, you know, the NFT 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000, how many buyers are really participating in that? What is there, 5, 10, 15,000 people in the world that can actually participate in the purchasing of that NFT? And it just seemed like we have all these millions of followers. We have such a big community. We have such a big brand. Like, let's actually see what we're worth in this attention economy and give it a shot. And then the moment was, the beauty of that was the timing. So it basically went from 0 to basically in 5 weeks, we launched the entire token. So Trump got elected. I saw what happened. And I said, we have to do this right now. We stopped everything that we were doing. And we basically launched it in 5 weeks. And I thought we'd have like a 5-6 month window, right? And it turned out to be, and I think that would have been the case if Trump and Melania didn't happen. But then we launched 4 weeks later, Trump launches. 2 days after that, Melania happens. And Melania, Trump, you survived Trump, but Melania was truly like a gut punch, to say the least.
Tell me everything about what you think about the launch, the good, the bad, the ugly. You mentioned before, that's very interesting actually. You mentioned before, we had to give it to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Can you tell me the good, the bad, the ugly?
Yeah, 0 to 5 weeks, a launch of that magnitude, no joke. And you really got to unpack and remember what happened. The animations, the engagement. I mean, that whole Pengu sprint clocked 100 million impressions on Twitter just on the main account. I'm not even like factoring in other people posting. If you go to those posts, like the first video we posted on it got 25 million views or something. And the quality and just the sprint from 0 to 1 was just absolutely insane. We did an event behind it. It was like a whole, it was a ginormous production. It wasn't just launching a coin. You had all the exchanges, everything was kind of set up. The good was, what a Herculean sprint in such a short amount of time. And even if it wasn't done in 5 weeks, it looked like it took a year to do, right? If you actually like look at how all the pieces kind of fell together. And so, you know, how we did it, I thought the distribution in hindsight still made sense. I still believe that was the right way to do it. I'm a little frustrated at cryptos. Like, it felt like some people kind of like took the money and the hard part was when we were down 80-90% was the little fudders and guys who I'd given money to were talking shit. Like, that was the part that really threw my head on a swivel. And, you know, there's a saying which is like, never crash out. I got really close to crashing out because I was like, where's the respect? I did it the right way. I did it the way that all the crypto users, all the guys on CT, the peanut gallery, they literally pray for founders like me to go and do things the way that we did it, right? And then for like 2 months later, after like meme coin black swans and tariff bullshit, you're over here like making threads about me and my token that I just blessed and gave to 6 million wallets. Have some respect, which again, I had to control myself there, and thankfully I didn't crash out. That was the part that really fucked with me though. But to your point, to your core question, the good, the bad, the ugly, I think 99% of it was good. I think the only part that I believe we were a little frustrated in hindsight, it was such an easy mess, but I should have let holders claim in the first hour and then let everyone claim after. That was a big mistake. And I don't know why. We had a justification.
You mean Pudgy Penguin holders
Yes.
first? Actually, okay. That would have, okay.
That was stupid because the only problem that happened at claim was, dude, the whole world, anybody who had crypto knew that was an airdrop and you had a chance. Everyone was eligible, right? So we had like tens of millions of people on this website trying to claim these tokens. Cross-chain claim is like, it's a real technical kind of like accomplishment if you think about the traffic and the load and the cross-chain, functionality of the airdrop and how we executed it. But if I were to change only one thing, to be frank, I would have done, hey, first hour, holders get the airdrop. There's no, any chance of the website crashing or holders not being able to claim. Because I think the sad part for me was like some guys didn't claim on time. Now, the beauty of it is like price was higher 3 weeks later, than it was on that opening day, with the exception of like the opening 10 minutes. So, most of the holders who ended up claiming didn't really get burned or get negatively affected. But that was from an experience perspective, that was the only bottleneck, was just like, there was an excuse for it. We brought it up and then somebody rebutted it, and we were so fried and on such a sprint that I think we just like didn't want to write more code for some it was stupid. We should have done it anyway. But that was probably the only thing I think from an execution standpoint we did wrong, was we should have let holders claim within the first hour without anyone else.
We recorded a conversation with Meow last year.
Yeah.
During which he said, every coin is a meme coin. That means there's a lot of meme coins out there. What's the plan for the Pengu coin to stay relevant and to compete with millions of other coins out there?
Yeah, there's a couple strategies, and I told the community this, so I don't mind ironing it out for you. I think the first one is being able to cast the widest net. I say this almost on every Inner Igloo for like the last 6 months because it's been a big focus of ours. But in a world where there's 100 million tokens, how can you compete? I think the first place is exchange listings. And what I mean by this is like everyone thinks it's like Binance, OKX, Coinbase, Bybit, Upbit, and like that's like the golden five. But there's like 100 other exchanges that have their own, little communities and pockets around the world. BitCub is a perfect example. Like they own Turkish retail. Turkish retail is a meaningful amount of people, right? There's emerging ones in Japan, things like that. But being able to be in a bucket of tokens where, yeah, sure, there's 100 million tokens, but there's only 50 or 60 that are available in all of these venues, I think creates a degree of separation. Because our thing at Pudgy is we're really great at making viral moments and marketing and creating that virality around that penguin. But step one, before you get into the big moments and the explosive headlines that Pudgy Penguins is known for doing over the course of the last couple of years, now that Pengu's introduced, I want Pengu to be available in the most venues so that when I create those headlines, I can capture that value into the token. And so I think the first one is, again, in a world where there's 100 million tokens, which tokens are available in more venues to more users in the latter, right? And I think Pudgy Penguins today is available in an X amount of venues. I can't tell you exactly how many, but there's only 50 or 60 tokens that are available in that many venues that have that much access to X amount of users. And I think that's probably the first step. And then the second step is really a lot of what we already are known for doing, which I mentioned a second ago, which was, marketing, virality, community, the moments. Like you thought Walmart was big. We have way bigger moments in the pipeline for the world to see. And I believe, and I think a lot of other people do believe that, in the right market conditions, as we execute on those moments and as the world sees us really pushing the barriers of crypto and, really understanding our revenue and how that revenue ties back into the token, we have a lot of things to unveil. As that story begins to get told, I think, look, at the end of the day, I just came back 5 hours ago from ringing the bell at the NASDAQ with the Pengu. Doge isn't doing that. Shiba isn't doing that. Pepe isn't doing that. Like, I love all those, but at the end of the day, like that representation, if I just do that and I compound that, it's going to have its moment in a way that I think all the core believers know and all the doubters are just like smooth braining, if that makes sense.
So the bet is that kind of thing that you did at the NASDAQ.
More of that, right?
A lot of that is going to one way or another translate into actual value.
It's moments like that. It's, what type of strategies are we going to implement from an equity perspective? And how do we take traditional equity plays, whether it's an ETF or a treasury strategy or an IPO or a SPAC, and how do you tie that into the value accrual of the token? It's the fact that, Pudgy will probably make 30, 40, $50 million this year. If we double revenue again next year, where does that revenue go? We can start, we can do more marketing, more activations. Maybe we start buying some, right? Like, over the course of time, we just have this ability to tell this story that I think nobody else is. And I think of this cohort of the last couple of years of meme coins, I think we are the most honest meme coin of them all. And I say that simply just by our GIF strategy. I mean, GIFs are memes. We are the fastest growing GIF, IP in the world by a Texas mile. And we actually have tens of billions of views around our meme coin that is provable, statistical, and factually, proven for anyone to see. And none of these other memes have that. So not only do I think we are the purest meme, right? And if memes are attention vehicles, and if they're vehicles of expression and love and community and culture, I mean, look, everyone else can tell their story about their bags, but statistically, from a fact-based perspective, like, Pengu has them all beat, right? And whether that resonates with you now or not, doesn't necessarily matter to me, because it will eventually, right? And when that moment does, it's positioned to capture the minds and the hearts of the Elons of the world, of the CZs of the world. It's only a matter of time. I mean, if you don't think it's going to happen, like, we are going to put this Pengu on a movie screen. We are going to put this Pengu in games across 10 different mediums and verticals. We are going to make this crypto's most prolific and popular character of all time. And the byproduct of that is going to be price appreciation. That's just the way crypto works and the way this attention cycle has worked for crypto over the years. So I think it's, when you see Van Eck, when you see us ringing the bell, think attention, right? Think eyeballs, think, people being proud of owning this asset and being a part of this community. Think conviction building, right? Like, that's what those things entail. And then our ability to get jiggy with it. Like, we're a really smart group. All of us are relatively young. We have our finger on the pulse. We know how to get attention. We have an IP that has insane momentum. And we have a company that is growing, basically doubling revenue year over year, with no chance of slowing down, at least, based on our forecast. So I think you just compound that. It's going to work the way that I think everyone within the community wants it to work. Just a matter of time when everyone else will get it. It's just a matter of time.
We initially met because of Pudgy Penguins, the NFT.
Yeah.
That's almost 2 years ago now. Are NFTs ever coming back?
I still believe NFTs will come back. And I still believe, I think I was on your podcast and I said, I believe one day the Pudgy Penguin NFT will hit triple-digit ETH floor. I just believe that. I believe that because collectibles in the real world just work, dude. And NFTs are just a better version of collectibles in every which way. And, there was one thing about consumer crypto that I misgauged, but I've understood it now. The missing part of consumer crypto that I think was missing, that I now think is like the number one frontier within the industry, was stablecoin adoption. So I was of this precipice where I was like, okay, institutions got involved. Now you got to go make apps and get consumers involved. But the apps that you can make today without real stablecoin adoption are consumer apps predicated around financializing something that might not need to be financialized and trying to create some sort of like Ponzi-nomic flywheel, right? Like that's a majority of consumer apps today in crypto. Once you have stablecoin adoption in the middle, right, and everybody has some USDC or some USDT or some USD1, in their wallet or in their phone on their actual Apple wallet, I think that opens the doors to a lot of things. And I think it's going to open the doors primarily in a big way for collectibles because it's going to feel a lot more native. And now and so when the whole stablecoin craze was happening, which is happening right now, I kind of had like an epiphany like 3 months ago, like, this was kind of why consumer crypto hadn't taken off yet. Because putting dollars into a wallet still has a ton of friction. But if all the platforms are adopting stablecoins, right, and that just becomes a native thing, transacting on chain is going to get a whole lot easier. And with that, I think the opportunity and the floodgates are going to open.
I completely agree with the collectible thesis. Raoul Pal is also kind of at the forefront of that with the 2 or 3 other guys who are deep into NFTs and explaining all that stuff. The only thing I'm thinking is, probably takes more time than we think for this NFT kind of thesis to play out, maybe a couple of years. Then you need to be in the NFTs that are in these 100,000 most rare collectibles, right? So you need to be, there's a bunch of like very rare NFTs, then there's the CryptoPunks, and then there is the apes and the Pudgy Penguins, but you need to stay there because things can change, right? How do you stay there?
I think we've got it so figured out. I just, our brand is most well positioned for a collectible to appreciate because we're the closest thing to a real brand in crypto. Everyone will tell you that, right? Like, who's the closest thing to a real genuine brand in crypto? It's Pudgy Penguins. Like, anyone who refutes that is nuts. If anyone refutes that, just kick them out of the room. They just don't know what they're talking about, right? And so collectibles appreciate, right? The biggest collectibles are the ones based off of brands, right? So just turns out my first editions are my digital collectibles, which are my NFTs. And we are the closest thing to becoming crypto Star Wars, to becoming crypto's Hello Kitty, to becoming crypto's Pokemon. We're the closest thing to that. Or do we have a long ways to go? Heck yeah. And we have a lot to prove and we have a lot of work to do, but we're the closest thing to that, right? And so collectibles in the real world, the ones with the highest market caps are those brands, right? And so I think value is most positioned to accrue to our digital collectible from a PFP perspective than I think the latter, with maybe the exception of punks. It depends how you look at it too, because it's like, do you factor in airdrops and wealth creation from the team, or do you factor in like it's 2 different sides of the spectrum? But punks are definitely up there because the lore. It's like the punks community did great at this whole like first narrative, and they've kind of captured like that little Bitcoin moment.
Exactly, it's the Bitcoin of NFTs, right?
So it's hard.
It's expected to do nothing, and kind of very low risk, no execution risk.
Yeah, and they got the new Node Foundation all over it. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of punks. Obviously, Pudgy's, Xcopy, Sam Pratt. There's obviously you can't the Bored Ape. The Bored Ape's still iconic. You can say what you want. I have problems with some of their community members, but the Bored Ape is the Bored Ape. What are you gonna? You can't knock the Bored Ape to a certain extent. So,
what you said before with where Hello Kitty or Star Wars were the closest one, right? Actually, the reason why I bought a bunch of Pudgy Penguins 2 years ago when we talked the first time on this podcast, and also I bought some Pudgy Penguins after every freaking podcast we did together. I was like, fuck, I need more Pudgy Penguins. Was exactly that. I was thinking, we are at the beginning of a new bull market. NFTs got wrecked. And if I just look out there, what's out there? You say we're the closest thing, but I would go one step further and say not only Pudgy Penguin is the closest thing, but what else is out there trying to do something tangible, right? And 2 years ago, there was literally nothing.
Yeah.
So that's why for me, the NFT play on Pudgy Penguin was like a no-brainer. So as I said, I own a bunch of Pudgy Penguins. I bought more Pudgy after every podcast we've done together. Should I hold on to my Pudgy Penguins NFTs for dear life, and why?
I think so because I think if you hold ETH, like any ETH south of 100 ETH, I think you got to hold it in Penguins. I think you're fiscally irresponsible if you don't, because the data tells me that it outperforms stake ETH every year since I've been at the helm, and that's a very easy benchmark to beat. I say 100 ETH because when you have NFTs are illiquid, going in and going out relatively. So if you have more than 15 Penguins, it's harder to get in and out of them. It's not like just clicking a button on a trade, right? You got to play a little bit of a game, but I think if you're bullish Ethereum and you're playing with south of 100 ETH and you're just trying to net long ETH, Pudgy Penguins will outperform it every day of the week. I mean, don't even take my word for it. The data is insane behind that statement. If you actually look at the returns, it's like 100% year over year, right? If you factor in the airdrops, if you don't factor in the airdrops, it's still like 38% or something like that. It's something blended over the median 3 years.
I asked this question to Raul actually in Dubai maybe two months ago. He's very bullish NFTs. What if ETH is cooked forever? Because it's so tight. All these NFTs, like these OG NFTs, they're all tied to ETH. And ETH has been having a crisis moment. And every time we think, oh, now we're so back, we're not so back, right?
That's a bet you're going to have to make. Now, I'll give you because I'm a believer of Solana. I'm a big believer of Solana. I'm also a big believer of Ethereum for different reasons. But I will tell you the reasons why I'm bullish Solana. I'll give you some good alpha for the ETH community. Because you're right. I don't believe, I very much believe they're ETH denominated. And so part of it has to be a bet on ETH, right? They're just part of the game. But the ETH Foundation reached out to somebody that I knew, a builder. This is crazy because ETH Foundation doesn't reach out to builders. And he asked him, he said, how can we support you better? This is big. This is big news from behind the scenes, because ETH Foundation reaching out to people and build net new builders and saying, how can we support you better, is a complete 360 shift of the tide. And then obviously the stablecoin stuff. Now, I think the whole they're powering stablecoins, I think that's a less defensible moat than I think people think. But today, most stablecoins are being issued on ETH for reasons that look, it's the best net neutral, blockchain out there and with the highest security, and it stood the test of time the longest. But I do think that moat could be taken. But I think the most bullish thing to come out of Ethereum is the fact that they're actually talking to builders. I mean, think about this. Pudgy Penguins for a while was one of the shining lights of Ethereum. I still think it is today. Especially in the category and the little ocean that we're playing in compared to most crypto builders. We own our ocean, our part of the ocean. Not a single person from any ETH anything acknowledged me outside of one Medici conference where I said hi to Joe Lubin and he shook my hand, but probably doesn't even know who the heck I am, right? There was a very pompous ivory tower culture there that was real. I'm telling you, as a builder, it was super real. But that I think was one of its Achilles heels. But to your point, is it a bet on ETH? I very much think it is. From the short to medium term, if you have a crazy long time horizon, which nobody in crypto really does with the exception of a few, if you have a 10 to 20 year time horizon, I'd say maybe less predicated, because maybe ETH goes to zero and it's just a stable coin chain, right? And it just lives like that and people just transact on the chain in dollars. But my bet, I think in the short to medium term, meaning from now until the next 5-10 years, you're betting all NFTs to some extent. You're betting the native currency and you're betting that outperformance of the NFT.
I just have to say something about the ETH people. This podcast is the same. I had Tolly from Solana, I had Chris Larson from Ripple, I had Lily, I had Polkadot, I had Gavin, almost everyone. The ETH people are unreachable, or they don't give a fuck, or they say yeah, and they never come back.
Yeah.
And I mean, I might have Joe Lubin, but it's a nightmare to get these people on. And at some point, you're like, hey, look, these are all the other people. Everyone came on this freaking podcast.
Yeah.
Like, guys, like, come on. So I mean, I'm not like a builder, but like, it's the same. I'm like, at some point, you almost want to say, listen, guys, you don't want to do anything. Fuck it. Like, I'm just going to go to the other people, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, if it's that like that for me, which is like a very simple business, like for more complicated blockchain-based businesses, I can't even imagine.
You've got a pretty great podcast, dude. I've
It's
watched
getting
you
better and
over the
better.
years. You've got the
It's getting better
most
and better.
insane Rolodex of guests ever.
We have better to come, even better. But
Who
like,
has a better Rolodex of guests in crypto? I mean, you must know. Who's your biggest competitor? I would love to know. Who do you wake up and be like, damn? Who are you competing with? You must be competing with someone.
I mean, honestly, because I do this in-studio podcast every week,
Right. It's in studio.
there was no one. And there was just Thread Guy, but for like 10 episodes.
Right.
And he was doing not every week. So I was like, okay.
And it was a little
I'll
Twitch
see.
setup.
And I know live stream, I consider this completely different. I think live stream has massive opportunity.
Agreed.
And that actually much bigger than what I'm doing here. But I'm not DJing and young enough to be like this live stream guy. Like he would be perfect for that. But the number one thing that you need to understand about business is fucking consistency. So if you do a podcast or live stream or whatever, it should be every week. Totally. If I do a podcast in studio, it should be every freaking week with the best guests. And what I realize is, obviously you're competing with our attention, etc. But no one, it's too hard. Like who wants to spend their life in fucking planes?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to do that, but I do it because someone has to do it, right? And so there was Mika doing 3 podcasts. There was Thread Guy doing 13 podcasts. And after Andrew Tate stopped, and I understood, I felt it before. I was like, these guys are going to blow up like crash out, because taking all these planes is so unsustainable. If you're not mega organized in advance, line up guests, understand that you should do 1 per week, because that's how you turn that into a business with sponsors and all that stuff. Like it's an entire content machine. Like you can't just do 1 and then disappear for a month, and then that's not a business, right? No. That's like whatever content creation. Yeah. So for me, like in this very specific format that I think is everything, because the best sound quality and the best visual quality. Totally. Like that's how people stop, right? They're like, oh fuck, the best trailers and all this shit, right? And so I actually wanted to take that even further with Gavin Wood. We did this production that is not even in that kind of studios. Like we set up the studios for that, a bit like Chris Williamson, right? You set up the studios. And so I'm recording with Sergey Nazarov from Chainlink and Avalanche founder on Thursday. And same, I'm like, how do we do the best freaking production that people are like, this is almost like a fucking movie, right? Right. And so I would say in that category, there's not really anyone. Also, like, how do you do something that's understandable by the people on YouTube? YouTube has 2 billion people. Yeah. So if you understand click-through rate and average watch time, which is everything for the video recommended, basically thumbnail and title, and then conversation that needs to be accessible enough, you need to have this very simplistic conversation. Otherwise, if it's too nerdy, like for example, Bankless, they do an amazing job. It's an amazing business, but it's too nerdy and it's online. Yeah. And we're not going to inspire anyone from outside of crypto to come into crypto with these online Zoom meetings. Yeah. Like we won't. Or you do live stream, but I would argue live stream in studio. Yeah. Like Aiden Ross with freaking Donald Trump. Yeah. Oh, but it's too hard. Yeah, it's fucking hard, but like you fucking do it. That's why you're going to be successful. Content. Yeah. Like, so yeah, I mean, it's so hard, but like everything is hard. And I think this business is probably the least hard in this industry, to be honest.
So you do 52 weeks every week? Every week.
And now we have this drop series that John was on before. It's kind of for upcoming founders. Okay. So now we do 2 per week in studio. So I have these drops and I have this.
But you'll do in like a month, you'll try to do like 40.
Not that many, because at some point, the problem is in crypto.
It gets stale. Yeah.
How many big people in crypto? 100?
Yeah.
Like, and it's a business. You have to go higher and higher.
Yeah.
After I had Tolly and Chris Larson and Sergey and exactly, right? You're like, fuck, like, how do I go higher?
Right.
I can't go too much lower. So I have only that.
Nakamoto.
Exactly. Or Vitalik, but Ethereum people don't give a fuck, right? So how do you go higher? You need to go to these people that I'm competing with. I was a month here in March in the US to do a 13 podcast with Pomp, with Tolly, with Chris Larson, with everyone, Scaramucci, etc. I'm literally competing with Donald Trump for these people's attention because it takes me months to organize this. Then once they say yes, it's not the hardest. The hardest is they say yes, but then, let's do it in 6 months. But I'm like, guys, I'm only here for 1 month. And we need to be in the studio at the same time. And then 3 days later, Trump says, crypto summit at the White House. All the fucking podcasts canceled or postponed because, it's Donald Trump. Like, I'm fucking nobody, right? So I'm like, man, like, fuck that. Like, it's so hard. But it's because it's so hard that it's also valuable at some point.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Anyways, talking about the masses, you announced Abstract on this podcast about a year ago.
Yeah.
What is Abstract if you had to explain it to your mom?
I think Abstract today is the consumer portal for the best and easiest consumer experience today. Abstract is very much portal. So for those that are not familiar, Abstract is the chain. It's kind of like our Anthropic. It's our LLM. Portal is the consumer-facing product. It's basically this interface, this one-stop destination where you can do everything on chain. We're going to take some really big swings at bat on Portal here over the coming months. We've been working on a lot of big things internally. The first couple of months of Abstract's launch were rough because we basically launched at when the bull market was turning around, and we launched poorly. We weren't ready to launch. We just launched just because we set a date and we wanted to honor it rather than, I think, trying to optimize for the best launch. And it's very much an ecosystem. And I was talking to the guys about this because we're raising a round for Abstract right now. Going to get the community involved in some way. But I think our goal and our mission at Abstract is to bring fun back to the EVM, right? Like, EVM is super boring. There's nothing to do. There's tens, if not 100 plus billion dollars in dormant ETH looking to participate and do something fun. And NFTs were that in 2020, 2021. I think we really successfully built, an amazing consumer terminal. I know it's super successful because our retention is through the roof. Every other blockchain is copying and creating a similar style product. And now I think we're at an inflection point where I think Portal needs its core killer feature that's predicated around fun. And so I think we need to be building the fun. I think our approach over the last 6 months has been like other people will come build fun. But I think we have a unique opportunity to not only, galvanize people to come build the fun on our chain, but also for us to kind of build the fun into the platform. And, what is it today? I think it is the best consumer portal and consumer experience in crypto. It's the best 0 to 1. And if I were to tell my grandma, I would say, go to this website if you want to learn about crypto, go through the steps, sign up, log in, and experience what it feels like to be on chain. But where I think it is and where it needs to be, we're really going to try to take some big swings at bat in terms of making Portal really a holistic product. Right now, I think it's just a really great place to kind of understand the ecosystem and participate. But I don't think it's creating those vectors that is creating virality and hype, et cetera. And those are going to be kind of the strides that we take over the next couple of months. So I'm excited for that. But building a blockchain, I think, was a little bit harder than I thought because, on one side, there's like the obvious, viral, whatever. But then it's like, this person deploys on the chain and I don't know what his intentions are. And then he's like a rug puller. That part of it, super interesting, because somebody reached out to me. There was a protocol on Abstract that had so much hype and momentum. I won't mention it. And I loved it. I had so much fun. I genuinely loved it. And unfortunately, it stopped doing so well. It's down 95% from the top. and guys are messaging me being like, why did you endorse this? Be careful what you endorse. And I'm like, dude, I'm just here to support builders on my chain, brother. You know, like I'm just here to like, I'm not endorsing these guys. I'm trying to support them, because if I don't support them, no one's building on my chain, right? Like part of the edge while you're a small blockchain is like, you can support people and cater to people better than the next. And then I'm supporting, I support a couple guys, and then, oh my God, the prices have gone down 95%. That's the last thing I want to do. I want to create wealth and opportunity for my communities, right? And then people are blaming me, and then you do that like 3 times in a row just by coinkydink, right? And then it becomes a bigger cascade, and then you can't support guys who are actually building. And then maybe the solution is to just support your top 5 guys, but then you just become a chain of 5 apps that you're just pushing. And then that's not fresh or new or exciting. That's the part that I actually didn't really factor in, that it's really threading a needle, which is partly why like I want to be responsible for what we control a little bit more in terms of like some of the things that are on the chain in the portal that are bringing that fun and that attention, and then leave the discovery for a lot of other people to kind of figure out. But it's, I'm a super confident person, and every time I do something, I know that I'm going to do it at the highest level. And I'm going to tell people that I'm going to do it at the highest level, and I'm going to tell people that I'm going to compete and win, one, to hold myself accountable, but for other people to hold myself accountable as well. I think the vision and the confidence around Abstract, I've actually never been more confident and never been more bullish on it. But I did underestimate, I think, the behemoth that building a blockchain is, because it's just like, even I gave you the forward-facing stuff on the back end. It's like liquidity and what pairs have what, and incentivizing that, and like, but you don't want to over-incentivize that, because then you become a farming chain. And yeah, it's really easy for me to boost TVL through the roof, but that's dormant negative capital that's just going to extract and create chaos. There's a lot of interesting things, but I will say this: this guy Saigar is a generational talent. It was the one missing piece in the igloo. We always needed a technical Chad. Like I think I'm one of the best in the world at marketing. Peter thinks he's one of the best in the world at creative. Badon thinks he's one of the best in the world in strategy. Saigar thinks he can go toe to toe with any developer in the space. And he manages an amazing unit. That whole engineering team is phenomenal. So the beauty, I think, of where we are today is I know exactly where we're going and how we're going to compete. I think we have a really great base. And, figuring we've only been around 3 or 4 months, I'm super proud of our accomplishments. Now, I think we're going to have to start taking some more risks, at least on the portal and the platform feature risks. But, ultimately, I think all feature testing is good. And then, our plan is to raise to really kind of take this whole thing to the next level. Because, I think we have enough, in the pipeline being built, and enough, I think, currently on the platform that I think it's time to go and activate the marketing machine and do all of these things that I think we're really good at to bring in those net new users. And so that's kind of, I think, the focus for the next 2-3 months.
You mentioned Igloo. There's Igloo, there's Pudgy Penguins, there's Abstract.
There's one more nobody knows about. I'm not going to say it on here, but there's one more.
There's one more. I think quite a few people are confused, actually, because there's multiple different things. What's the link between Abstract and Pudgy Penguins, if there is any?
I think a lot of people overthink it, right? I think when you look at our ecosystem, we are a team of super chads. We are amazing at what we do, and we are here to bring crypto to the masses. And every part of the Igloo feeds into that mission and that vision, and they do cross-pollinate. We have Pudgy Penguin games that will be launching on Abstract. We have Pudgy Penguin products that will be launching on Abstract. We have, Pudgy Penguins, which is its own standalone entity. You have Pengu, which is the Solana token. But I think too many people in crypto let some bad take on Twitter from some peanut gallery member box them into like the vision of what they want to be. I'm a distribution maxi. I want to be the face of penguins around the world. I am the mascot of crypto. I am going to be everywhere, right? I am going to be on Abstract. I'm going to be on Solana. I'm going to be on Ethereum. I'll be on Bitcoin if I want to. I'll go be on Polkadot if that's what it needs to be. It doesn't matter to us. I think a lot of people are trying to like want there to be this elaborate puzzle piece when it's like, no, we are building amazing products with an amazing community. Everyone who gets into our ecosystem leaves it making money unless they just, quit early on, right? But anybody who truly believes in this ecosystem finds success. And all of the products tie into each other, but they aren't built off of one another, right? Like, how does Abstract and Pengu tie into each other? Well, if you're a Pengu community member, you're just going to count on me to take care of you guys if I have the opportunity to do it, right? If you're a Pudgy Penguin NFT holder, you already know what the game is, right? You guys are my first believers. You guys are my first edition collectors. It's a smaller group, so it's easier to reward them. Obviously there's 1 million Pengu holders, so it's kind of hard to segment. And Abstract, I think, is tackling a problem that is, I think, even bigger than the Pudgy Penguin in terms of this idea that there needs to be a consumer interface that everybody uses to participate on chain. But again, Pudgy community grows, they use Abstract, Pudgy products built on Abstract, Pudgy products also built on Telegram, Pudgy products also built on Ethereum, Pudgy products also built on Solana. We're not agnostic in that sense, but our products have to win, not because we've created some elaborate Ponzi scheme that makes them win. Our products are going to win, and our tokens are going to win, and our non-fungible tokens are going to win by the integrity of the brand and the products that those individual assets represent, right? Pudgy Penguin Pengu is going to win, not because, it might get some big Abstract airdrop in the future. It's going to win because it's clocking in 400 million views on social. I'm going to put this thing on your favorite streaming network, and you're going to go and open up a Happy Meal one day and see a big blue Pengu. It's going to win because of that. The NFT is going to win because it's a small group of some of the coolest, most affluent, richest people in crypto. Everyone wants to sit at the cool kids table at the cafeteria. The Pudgy Penguins PFP is the cool kids, and it outperforms staked ETH 10 out of 10 times for the next 10 years. You have my word, it's just going to happen, right? And then Abstract is going to win and be a successful token and be a successful platform because of the integrity of the product that we build and the integrity of the ecosystem and the community that's galvanized around it, not because it's some proxy to Pengu. In my mind, like, Abstract has to launch, being the only competitor to Base, and it should be a net more valuable token than Pengu. Like, I believe that, right? In terms of, how it's indexed, at least in the short term. In the long term, I think Pengu has the opportunity to flip Doge and reach, unattainable heights. But that's kind of the mindset around it. I think everyone wants there to be some sort of elaborate scheme when it's like, no, we just build better products and better communities and better brands than I think anybody else in the space. And to me, in a world where technology is not a moat, which I don't think it is, I think all of blockchain technology is being commoditized, right? Like, that is where we're going to succeed. We're going to succeed because Pudgy Penguins is the best, because Abstract is the best, and because all these different pieces in the ecosystem are just better than other pieces in other ecosystems.
You just mentioned Abstract sort of valuation, right? I saw you mention big numbers on some podcasts online. About Abstract, you said it would launch at multi-billion-dollar valuation, which you already achieved with Pengu. There have been some big changes in the market structure over the last year. Layer 1s are launching at much lower valuation than they used to, or at least their valuation is correcting quickly, to not say dumping with haste at launch. I talked to Seb from Sofon, who is a neighbor to Abstract in the consumer layer 2 kind of landscape. Sofon launched at about 700 million FDV, I think. How realistic is your multi-billion-dollar Abstract launch given how the space has evolved and matured over the last year?
It's interesting because Abstract TGE and that token will be priced on the success of the Portal Super app more than it is the fact that it's a blockchain, I think. I think it's going to be, it's like a perfect example of this is like, World Chain is like one of the great sleepers of the blockchains out there. You should definitely try to go get Sam Altman on here if you're talking about moving up the ranks. That's a good target for you.
I tried a few times, but not easy.
That's
I got 2 intros, but no answer.
Yeah, that's a hard one. But if you get that one, so World Chain is interesting. World Chain is probably one of the great sleeper agents in the blockchain space. $20 billion L2, right? L2, it's a conduit, basically. I mean, probably not a conduit rollup, but the point of the matter is it's like no different than any other L2, but it's worth $20 billion. Sam Altman premium, sure. And then the authenticity layer, Sybil resistance, sure. Where I really think they yield a lot of that valuation, or at least half, is in the World app. And, if you ask the World Chain Foundation, how, they'll say, the World app is the chain today, right? Meaning the app is the chain. Just like kind of like with Abstract. You don't really use Abstract if you're not using portal.abs.xyz. And so I think, World Chain wasn't even on my radar until 3 months ago, and when some venture investor who wanted to lead one of our rounds or wanted to send us a term sheet for a Series A said we were minded of a similar build. And, in principle, Portal, our vision for it has always been like a super app. One website where you can do everything on chain, right? Like that sounds technically like a super app. If you were to look at valuations today, what are the 2 biggest L2s in terms of valuation? You have World Chain at 20 billion, and if Base was a token, Base probably a $20 billion token, right? You'd probably put it there. But the Abstract build is somewhere in the middle. We are going big iOS. So we're building our iOS app. We're going big on killer features on the portal and building out features on that portal. So in the sense that we share similarities with World Chain, we do in the sense that portal is the chain, World Chain app is the chain, or World app is the chain. And then obviously, Base is going to be a gargantuan. It's going to be a David versus Goliath battle. No doubts about that. But I think we can speak to culture better than they can. Though I said this maybe when I spoke to you last, and I'll say it until the end of time. No matter how corny people think Jesse Pollock is, he is one of the great builders in our space, and it's not even close.
Absolutely.
I can't point to 3 guys that I'd rather have on my team than that guy, truthfully. So you're gonna let him cook, and but it's David versus Goliath, right? Like that's how we look at them. And I look at our first year versus their first year, and that's the roadmap that I'm following. But I think we will be comped if and when Abstract TGEs. I won't TGE it, to answer your question directly. I won't TGE it if it's not evident that I'm not getting comped somewhere in between the middle of Base and World Chain, right? Like Abstract has to be like a Base World Chain hybrid in terms of its build and product set, which I think, I'm not going to say it's anywhere near those 2 today, because you got to give credit where credit is due. Base, insane. World Chain, insane. World app, insane. But when I told the world would TG it in Q4, that would be the plan as long as we hit our goals, whatever. But like, if I don't think it's a competitive and it's in the conversation of World and Base, I'm not TGing it just because I said I'm going to do it in a time. No, I'm trying to optimize for maximum success here. But for us to succeed, we actually have to win. There's really like 2 cohorts of crypto founders. And I can't muster the energy to be in like this other cohort, but one cohort is like financial engineering schemers. And schemers is like a bad word because it has a negative connotation, but that's what they are. They're schemers, right? They know how to engineer the token. They have a couple $100 million in capital through a couple different vehicles. The float is lower than what it actually looks like. They're listed everywhere. They're buying out whatever airdrop they can. They can control the float and just get a perpetual bid until the end of time. That's like financial engineering schemers, right? Which means like you can launch a token without any community, without any success, but you can engineer its success on the top 100. Right? That's like,
how much of crypto is that today?
Percentage-wise, I could tell you 35 to 50% of the top 100 coins are built like this.
I have thought even higher, but
I would say probably even higher. I mean, let me change that. Probably 50 to 65. True. And like some in the top, I mean, like, Cardano's infamous for this. You know what I mean? Like, it's one example, but there's many examples, right? You could easily say 2/3 of the top 100 is built like this. But I'm not interested in that cohort because like I feel like a lot of shame in that. That doesn't put me on the Mount Rush. That doesn't feed my ego. So some people like to think I'm an egomaniac, sure, but that doesn't feed my ego. So I don't want to do it, right? I actually want to win. Like I want to sit there and compete and then have value accrual based on winning because I also think the value is so much more sustainable if you can actually win. Like if Base TGE'd, that thing would just rip forever, right? Because you can't argue that. It's like Solana, it's going to rip forever, right? But we actually want to win. Like I want the data and the metrics and the users and the momentum to be competitive with Base, to be competitive with World Chain. If it's not, then like I'm not going to sit here and TG something and sell you like a snake oil salesman and be like, we're somewhere in between the middle of World Chain and Base, but like don't look at our Dune analytics because they're like 1/100th of theirs, right? I can tell you that's what we want to be now. Right? But like, I can't go launch a token and be like, that's my selling point. I want to launch a token and be like, we're half of where Base is and we did it in 2/3 of the time, right? Like, where are we going to be 2 years from now? Right? And everyone's going to get super bullish. We're half of where World Chain is. We did it in 2/3 of the time. How bullish are you? Right? Like I want to be able to stand on that and people be like, oh shit, they did it again. Right? Rather than just like, could you engineer some sort of multi-billion-dollar token? For sure. If you understand the game, there's a group that understands the game, you can do it. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in actually winning the thing, which is going to be the hard part of this journey, unfortunately. We actually want to do it right.
And do something, actually.
Yeah. We'll be a first.
Let's link the abstract launch to the Pengu launch. There's been a fair amount of criticism, we mentioned before, about the Pengu launch. I was actually one of these people who criticized in a constructive fashion the distribution.
Yeah.
And I got murdered online. I understand the game. Too many tokens given to too many people who aren't long-term community members and who just dumped at launch. You have a different argument, which is, hey, if only the NFT holder hold it, then people don't want to buy it, right?
So it's a good take. Let me address it because you did have some valid criticisms to it. And in principle, functionally, I'll tell you the bet that I'm making. You're functionally right? Like is Pengu trading higher today if the airdrop isn't that massive? Yes. Did I feel totally disrespected and dudes just completely abused that penguin and that free money we gave them? Yes. Right? The bet that I'm making is this. I'm making the bet that when those green candles start ripping and mania starts ripping, those fractions, because there's still fractions in everyone's wallet. Everyone's wallet has a little bit. So part of it was like almost like a product placement, right? And so one, it was goodwill. If Pengu's actually going to flip Doge, right? It has to have a story. The story for Pengu, its inception was for the people, by the people. That might just sound like a tagline right now, but in retail mania, that is a story that the masses can really galvanize around, right? So the bet that I was trying to do was like, I wasn't trying to launch a $2 billion token and that be the ceiling and that be it forever. I'm going after the big kahuna. I'm going after Doge. You might look at that and other people might look at that and be like, this kid is nuts. You'll never flip Doge. Well, I'm trying to set the pieces up and tell the story so that we have the opportunity to, because I don't believe Doge can retain number one. I don't believe in this Dino coin meta. I think that's so lame. I think that's so lame that these things, just because they were around for 10 years, they're priced more than all the new great innovations and people pushing the boundaries. I think that's so stupid. And so from my perspective, like, did I feel the pain? Yes. Did you feel the pain and other holders feel the pain? Yes. But I also think, dude, before the market gave out, Kevin, like the thing was up and to the right.
That's true.
It was
went
up.
down a bit and then it was
down. No, it was doing the whole stairway to heaven thing. It was dipping for 2 days and then hitting new highs the next 3 days. And it's like, when's the last time you ever saw an airdrop with even a fraction of that size of magnitude go up? And the reason it was going up was because we blessed everyone. They loved it. Everyone loved it. Everyone was shilling Pengu. Everyone was aligned. It was like, you want to know our biggest mistake for abstract was right after Pengu, we should have raised an echo round. Why? Because like you'll look at like something like Mega ETH, for example. It's like so smart because it's like all of CTs are bag holders, right? Same principle applies to this. Yeah. At a certain point, everyone was a bag holder of Pengu, so everyone was shilling it. Dude,
except they got it for free. Whereas the echo round would be people are invested.
Agreed. So to a certain extent, but like I also wanted to give Penguins the biggest percentage airdrop so Apes gave Apes, I think 10 or 15%. I wanted to beat that in terms of rewarding the community by like a big mile. I can't give 20%, 25% to Pudgy Penguin holders. And then the whole token is just cashing out Pudgy Penguin holders. Solana, nobody galvanizes around that. That thing got the engagement it did, the virality it did, because people were like, bro, he's giving tokens to everyone. And like, dude, guys do airdrops for 200 million and the token's down only. Dude, up until Trump and Melania, we were gonna go flip shit. I mean, we were right there, right? And then the market gave out.
I would just say this came maybe a month or two after Hyperliquid, right? Who did that kind of, playbook on a lot of things. One of them is rewarding very early participant who making them rich. Probably most of them are already rich, therefore won't dump the token, right? Yeah. And so I did this kind of thread and people kind of murdered me. And I was just saying, actually, I don't consider myself 2 years NFT holder, an early NFT holder. I think the people who red-pilled me even before I had you on the podcast, like Alex Van Eyck, they're already rich, but they deserve the freaking airdrop because they were here since many, many years, right? And when I wrote that, I had some Pudgy Penguin OGs reaching out in my DMs privately and telling me that they were thinking about selling their NFT. And at that moment, I was like, oh shit. And actually even me, I have multiple. I was like, do I want to keep my NFTs when I feel like, because we had this Hyperliquid example, right? When I feel like either I hold the tokens, but I get dumped on by everyone else. Either, where is the reward for the people who've been here for 4 years? Not really feeling or not really there. Obviously they received a lot of money, but if they're getting dumped on because they're the believer and they don't sell, then the whole kind of dynamic is kind of twisted, I would say. So the question is, for a day I was like, fuck man. And then I just thought, in Luca, we trust. Because that's what I've been doing since the beginning, right? Yeah. What did you learn from the Pengu launch that you will do very differently for the abstract token launch?
I think, it's an interesting take because I think we didn't use Hyperliquid as our barometer. I thought it was like two different things relatively. Like for us, Pengu, the story that we had to tell, right, was this is the thing to bring everyone into the huddle, right? We're a mass market brand, right? And I felt like we had to embody that. And I just believe that if Pengu ever flips Doge, that how it started will play a huge part in that. I believe that. And that, I think, was the nucleus of the strategy. I think, did certain holders feel spited? I totally understand your perspective.
People could just buy the NFT just beforehand. Then obviously they buy it more expensive, right? And then there's the whole price dynamic. But concretely, it means, hey, I've been here for 4 years. I've been here for 2 years. Yeah. But people have been here since the freaking bear market and they bought the thing when it was worth almost nothing.
There's one thing I'll tell you, and this is probably the only time I'm going to say it, because I'm not going to say it when everyone's speculating. But I'm not going to let you do this thing where you can buy my Penguin one day before the airdrop and get the thing. I'm not doing that this time. So just that was one of my big learnings because I hated that. I hated that guys, now granted the floor price went up and there will be a time where you should get that whole NFT run up around that speculation, but one day before, it's not going to happen that way. It's not going to happen one day before. So my advice to the people listening is you want to get your Pudgy now before you get it when everybody's clamoring in to get it, because I didn't appreciate that. They kind of abused the Penguin. I felt like we got abused.
Completely. You see the NFT price going.
No, I felt used. I felt used, and I felt, and I feel like certain community members felt used. I feel like a lot of people felt used.
Yeah.
And I didn't appreciate that. And I can tell you, there was a moment there when I was down only. There's a lot of things I learned, and I'm going to make sure, because you even messaged me, like the time in which we did it, dude. If I had like 3 more weeks, I could have been way more thoughtful, right? Like there was like. I gave too much money to I could have gave more money to certain communities that I should have gave money to that I didn't, or to, certain key figures and things like that. We just didn't have the time. It was so not, so I'm working on the abstract TG thoroughly starting like July, I'm going to have 6 months. If I do launch it in Q4, I'm going to have 6 months to figure it out and do it right. And I think just any of those hiccups or those feelings and things were like, oh, why didn't he do it this way or do it that way? I still stand on having 6 million eligible. I still stand on that because, dude, it is the only airdrop of that size that literally went up and to the right. I'm telling you, it was because of the airdrop. Now, when the market flipped, dude, telling you Trump, Melania, SPY down 25%. Don't overthink it. Don't think it was like some dudes. I did catch a couple Sybils running claims, and that's why we shut down the claim early, because we got real data that like there was a couple guys who made, a couple $1 million who did, but like trust me when I say the data, like that was the right strategy to me. I think there was a level of thoughtfulness around certain organizations or people or groups within the community that I could have done a lot better job in terms of rewarding and making feel special, because they are the heart of this entire ecosystem. I could have done a better job there. But that was just the nature of time and the sprint. And I also felt maybe the same way that you did, and you derive from this as you want. Like I felt used and abused there for a minute, especially when things started going down. I felt like they kind of ate me up and just kind of threw me to the wayside. I didn't like that. And if you felt that way, or if other community members felt that way, just know that I'm conscious of that, and I'm going to make sure that for this next one, I'm really hyper focusing on my core nucleus, my power users, my top 1%, 2%, my hyperliquid top 1%, 2%, and making sure that it goes to those guys and the people who are buying the dips. And, I wanted to be a lot more methodical with the data, but like, I respect the person buying now, not the person who's buying, 2 days before TGE. That person I don't care about, right? I care about the person who's buying the dips now. And I'm recording all this data. And you're seeing we're giving out soul bounds. We're getting really methodical with this because we're gonna learn from all of the mistakes on the Pengu one.
Thank you so much, Luca, for this amazing honesty and passion as usual.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Time to buy more Pudgy Penguins.
Thanks for your honesty and passion.